Kevin, I'd like us to now go back to the biblical a bit where I probably have seen some red flags, and may she have ignored them, because you see, when you know that someone has an interest or someone wants something from you, you'll be able to tell as a woman, Janet, right? If someone is trying to throw advances, you're always able to know. Yeah. So could Tamar probably have seen some red flags maybe and ignored, because even at the point at which this guy was telling guys to leave the room, already that should have been a red flag that there is something wrong here. So
Exactly.
yeah.
You see, there's one thing the Bible advises us not to do. Yeah. To start with, you see, God, through Jesus Christ of Nazareth, has conquered everything else at the cross of Calvary.
Yes.
Right? But then now it is our responsibility as bona fide believers,
Yes.
to go and take it, right?
Yes.
But then now when it comes, because the Bible says submit to God, yeah? Then after you submit to God, you have now the ability, the power, the capacity to resist the devil, and the devil will flee.
Yes.
But then it comes in to say now that when it comes now to sexual sin, when it comes to this abuse, yeah, when it comes to this particular culture, when you sense the so-called red flags,
Yes.
it is not now your time to speak in tongues standing there.
Yes.
You have to flee. It
Yes.
is now your chance to let your feet carry you as fast as you can.
Yes.
So it is for the case scenario of Tamar, in that second Samuel chapter 13 from verse number 12, when she saw it, verse 13 downwards now, you realize that she just resisted. And she said, my brother, it is not the right thing in the culture of Israel to have done this kind of a thing we are doing.
Yes.
So now she ended up being forced to do it.
Yes.
And then now you see Leviticus brings this case, I believe chapter 18 of Leviticus from verse number 9 says, you shall not sleep or go in with your sister. Yes. It is sin, right? So now at that particular point, when Tamar sensed the red flags, because it is very thin line, but then you can see it. I was saying somewhere that there are three things you can never ignore, and they are always sounding a big alarm. Yes. But part of it, because of our time, I would say when love is, when this particular allurance is coming into play, you will always sense and see. Yeah. You will sense and know that this person has a certain intention beyond what we are doing. Yes. So the body will always communicate. If then you don't read what the body is communicating, read the eye. Yes. That's it.
Read the eye. There's also the story, because this doesn't only happen to women, it also happens to men. And our society has taught men to be this macho, to have this macho thing where they need to be the man, so they cannot talk about issues of abuse. I've been abused, or I've been sodomized, or someone has made a pass at me and I just feel uncomfortable about it. Or there's this older woman who is trying to take advantage of me, and I'm just, I don't feel right about it. So men have been taught to keep quiet, and yet there is. I'd like us to look at the story of Joseph in the Bible. It's found in Genesis 39, and I'd like us to look particularly at verse 11, where it says, but it happened about this time when Joseph went into the house to do his work, and none of the men of the house was inside. That Potiphar's wife, you remember, when Potiphar's wife grabbed him. You see, sometimes when men are mostly taken advantage of, probably when they are in need and they're in a point of weakness, then someone wants someone has, you see, Joseph was a very handsome man, very handsome, and this woman had seen him, and she's probably lonely, and her husband is always away. He's the king, he's always away, so she's alone, and she's thinking, I can take this guy as my side thingy, and maybe for a favor or two, he can offer me sexual favors. That is abuse. So Janet, could you please tell us a bit about male sexual abuse in Kenya and what is happening right now in our society based on that story?
You've already mentioned a few points, and the most important thing to note is that it is a fact. Yes. Studies show that men actually go through sodomy.
Yes.
And actually most men their first introduction to sex is sodomy, either through a man
Wow.
or the helper, the
Wow.
maid at home. Yeah?
Yes.
She's telling you, there's actually a story I was reading. I can't remember where it was, but it was in the news. So this boy, he was 6 years, 7 years old, and the nanny used to tell him, "Come and watch me as I shower." And after she's done showering, she's telling the boy, "Come, now let us go to the bedroom and show you how we're going to do things." So already this boy has been introduced
Been
to
exposed at a
sex.
very early age.
Yes, he's a 6-year-old boy.
Yes.
And
It's
I
a
can tell
baby.
you for a fact, he's going to suppress those emotions. He's not going
Yeah.
to tell his mom, he's not going to tell his dad.
Yeah.
But even if he tells the mom and the dad, they're going to tell them, these are just games. So what is it? What's the problem? See, you're a man.
Yes.
Like, let's move on.
Mm.
And so what happens to this boy when he suppresses emotions, suppresses the feelings, suppresses everything that has happened to him?
Mm.
He's going to grow up. Number one, he may decide to actually now become a rapist.
Yes.
Because that was the first introduction to sex. 'Cause
Yes.
to him, that is very normal. The other thing, this guy, you've already introduced him to sex in a weird way.
Yes.
So for him, he's going to have kind of a gender identity crisis.
Yes.
He doesn't know, am I supposed to be attracted to men? Am I supposed to be attracted to
To
women?
women.
So there's a lot of confusion for this young man.
Yes.
And the problem is, this young man is not even going to talk about it.
Yes.
Because if, for example, if I'm a guy, I go tell Samuel, by the way, this happened to me. He is like, when him say, Bazenga, what is
Yeah,
wrong with
yeah.
you? Hush, hush.
Mhm.
So the society is really putting men at a very difficult position, because if there's no trust for the society to accept that I went through this, then how am I supposed to come and tell you this happened to me?
Mm.
Even if we know the psychologist,
Yeah.
if I go and, yes, psychologists, at least now you have the knowledge, you have the information, but if I go talk to my brother, to my cousin, they'll be like, "Apana,
Yeah.
umelia kitu." What
Yeah.
is it? Just move on.
Mm.
Yeah.
So guys, we're not ignoring you. We're just opening up the discussion so that now we can start talking about the questions that you sent. But also, I would like us, before we go into the questions that you sent, I'd like us to see the statistics behind now. What's the percentage of the people that have actually suffered some kind of abuse? Because I think everyone, at least for me, I know funny people have made passes, and and you just feel uncomfortable. But I'm sure everyone has a story of their own. But I just want to hear, maybe from a clinical, professional point of view, maybe from research or something like that. You could tell us maybe what the statistics are at now. How many people have been abused, say, in a society? What percent?
Okay, the statistics are a bit alarming. Yeah?
Mm.
And they say 1/3 of Kenyan girls are subjected to sexual violence.
And that is very
And
good.
when you're talking about these, we are not really centering it on rape, the physical bit of it.
Mhm.
We're talking about the advances that are made,
Yeah.
the passes that are made in the offices,
Yes.
in schools. Yeah.
Yeah.
And into women, 1 in 2 women have experienced sexual violence other than
Yes.
rape in their lifetime, and 1 in 5 men have experienced sexual violence other than. Question is, if I don't rape,
Yeah.
then where are these rapists coming from? Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, and it's not so much as there is the deviant culture and the normal guys. So these are normal people in a deviant culture. Yeah, and when we are talking about rape and ending sexual violence, we need to also understand where the socialization has happened, the
Yeah.
enculturation bit of it. Yeah, and in this sense, I'm saying, so as to get to the root of the violence itself,
Yes.
we have to do a lot of unlearning first.
Mhm.
Yeah, then also we teach the right kind of sex education to our
children.
right?
Yeah. So it's safe to say that if it's 1/3 of the girls have been abused in one way or another, and men probably also around the same. It's safe to say around 70% of the society.
What I'm saying is,
Mm.
it may not necessarily imply
Numbers.
the rape itself.
Yes,
But
some
the
sort of
exposure.
exposure.
And-
Yes.
and it's alarming in this sense that you will realize that people just keep it to themselves.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because that's how the society has told us.
Yes.
Yeah. Like as a lady, it's okay for someone to look at me in
A
very
sexual manner.
sexual manner.
Yeah.
And also, we're trying to demystify the objectification of a lady. Yeah.
Yes.
It's not so much about, and when we're talking about this, we need to bring all stakeholders on the table.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's political in terms of even the policies and also
Are in place. Yeah.
legislative bit of it. We're talking about the social aspect of it, cultural aspect of it. Yeah. Yeah, and the paternalistic. I understand there are a few questions about feminist. And
Yes, they're here. I'm about to give you some of those.
yeah, we need to hear each and every one side of the story.
Yes.
One, we don't victim blame the person.
Exactly. Thank you.
Believe them.
Yes.
Believe the survivors.
Mm.
Yeah, because as you said, most of these happen. People they trust.
Yes.
It could be a teacher, it could be the nanny, it could be a brother, it could be the father. Yeah, it could be also your boss.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's very
and,
common.
Yeah, and when we are talking about consent aspect of it, there is the aspect of under duress. You agreed to it.
Yeah.
Because you're under duress. Yeah.
Yes.
Something we call acquiescence.
Yes.
You agreed to the physical bit of it.
Yeah.
Because most perpetrators will hold it against you if you come out.
Yes.
There is that fear of repercussion.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fear.
So these are some of the issues we need to address. So it is not so much about who is responsible, but we all are all
Responsible. Yeah. Yes.
We also have to play a big role.
Yes.
From talking about it to actually listening to that and believing the survivors.
Yeah. Janet, I'd like to give you the first question. Someone is asking, what can be done to sensitize the public on the need to stop victim blaming? You just touched a bit on it.
Yes. Number one, we need to stop blaming the victim. Number one, blaming comes with when you're going to his place, what did you expect? When you're going on a date, dress the way you dress, what did you expect?
Yes.
First of all, we need to stop this notion of men are physical beings, so anything and everything should happen. No. There is something that we all have called self-control.
Yes.
So as a man, as a woman, whoever you are, you're supposed to control yourself. If a woman is passing by there, you don't have to grope, you don't have to look at the person and suggest, the catcalling, all those things that happen to a lady. It is not right.
Yes.
So it starts with everybody, from the men, from the parents, from the teachers, the whole society. It's a societal thing. It's not just me as a lady. Am I supposed to be wearing deras all the time? Supposed to be covering? No, it's supposed to be about everybody. Everybody's supposed to take the responsibility in the part that knowing that at the end of the day, as a man, you have a mother,
Yes.
you have a sister,
Yes.
you're going to have a daughter at some point.
Yes.
It's your responsibility. Yeah. So at the end of the day, it's everybody's choice to make, not to, I'm actually happy. Let me give the example that happened. It was popular. The 3 radio presenters were sent home.
Yes.
It was the first step.
Yes.
Because first of all, we made it so common for guys to make jokes that, what did you expect? It was so common for people to just laugh about it. Someone has been raped, just laugh about it. We're like, what did she expect? So I was actually happy when I saw the organization fire them. It was a good thing. Because that's the first step to healing to the lady, first of all. Because now you're going to come out more, people will come out and say, baby, this happened to me. And we'll stop putting shame, because there's a lot of shame in rape.
Yes.
There's a lot of shame in rape, because you asked, when you are going to his place, what did you expect?
Yes.
When you're dressing the way you're dressing, what did you expect?
Yeah. So, so victim shaming starts with me. I need to say that I will not victim shame. And in this panel, we've come up with our own tag.
Yeah.
And we have decided that as the 4 of us, when anyone approaches We will believe you, we will stand with you, and we will walk with you.
Yes.
We will believe you, we will walk with you, and we will stand with you. At any given time, whatever happens, it is a safe environment, because you guys, the psychologists, have a code of conduct. Kindly tell us a bit about the code of conduct, because I don't want to hear about, say I was raped. I don't want to hear about it all over the place. You know, I want to go through my healing in a safe environment. You know, if I was abused, I want to know that I'm in a place where I can talk about it and I will be safe, because whatever I have gone through will be just into the ears of the person that I've talked to.
Yeah, like for us as psychologists, that one, the ethos that we uphold, yeah, it is completely confidential, and
Yes.
And for us to know.
Yes.
Yeah. And you mentioned about what has just happened, like the intervention. That is the reactive bit of it. Like people ask, what dress were you wearing? Where were you? What did you think about going to that place and whatnot? Yeah, it's not so much about this lady. Yeah? It's what about the boy? It's like a question like Peter beats Mary. Yeah.
Yeah.
So in another sentence, we'll say Mary was beaten.
Yeah.
Will be Mary has been battered.
Yes.
But we are forgetting that it started from a Peter.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's much as such steps were taken. We need also to incorporate a proactive intervention. We need to talk about these issues.
Yeah.
Sex education. How and how to act and even to behave. You see? And even when we're talking about such very sensitive topics.
Yeah.
Yeah. Towards we need to be sensitive and to be empathetic even in the manner we address the issues. It's not so much about you having a sister or a mom because that one, so that you empathize with a survivor. No. That place of this something happened.
Yeah, that thing of this could be a sister or a brother or any, you know.
If you have to call it
As it is.
it
Yeah.
was a harassment.
Yeah.
Or perpetrated by your boss. You have to call it as
it is.
As it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe Kevin, you could tell us about the place of the church where healing has got to, because healing needs to come from somewhere. And for us here, because we are the church, and all that, but things have happened. We come from different backgrounds, because we are growing up, and so we're going to be released into the society. We're the next bosses, we're the next men of God, we're the next employers, we're the next employees, we're the next people of power. So how are we going into the society? What are we doing to prepare the young people in the church so that they come out whole, And then later on, maybe Janet can also tell us maybe how we can begin to receive healing from a professional point of view, then now also from a spiritual point of view. So just maybe you could tell us.
Wow, question. So now, in this kind of an experience, is kind of an embarrassing ecstasy, because now someone's dignity has been messed up, and in such a way that they can't stand their integrity anymore. So now we have found these cases where when such a person, like now from the perspective of the church, when someone finds themselves in such a scenario, the best thing they can first think of doing mostly is to run away from the church.
Yeah.
You see?
Yeah.
But then that's not the way out. Because I remember when you look at the book of John, chapter number 8, starting from verse number 1 down, you realize that Jesus was teaching at Mount Olives. Yeah, he was teaching the scribes, the Pharisees. These are teachers of the law.
Yeah.
In a way, we call them they were lawyers.
Yeah.
Theologians at the same time. But then in the law, when somebody comes with some kind of their grievances, Now they need to be addressed because someone has broken the law. There is this rule they normally allow, it's called the de minimis non curat lex, such that there are things you can handle softly and hound the person who has fallen into this particular trap, but at the same time they are not breaking the law.
Yes.
So now they brought this lady who had fallen in this particular kind of a challenge.
Yeah.
And they say in verse number 4, chapter number 8 of John, they say, we have found this woman in the very act. They don't even call it in the act. They say in the very act of adultery.
Yeah.
So now what do you say? I like King James says, what sayest thou? Such that they want to express the anger because they are ready to kill this particular woman. But the question comes before I go to the next point. Where is the man? Yeah?
Yes.
It is only the woman being brought on the scene.
Yes.
He's the man because she was not doing it alone.
Yeah.
You see that?
Yeah.
So now, in that particular experience, Jesus, when they asked him, the Bible says in verse number 6, verse 5, 6 there, they say, it says that they knew what they were doing because they wanted to accuse him.
Yeah.
So it is not just a part of answering the question.
Yes.
Because now this matter has been brought before you. You now are standing in the place of a judge. Decide, because now, and in your decision making, you are breaking a life or you're making a life.
Yes.
You have to restore it or let it go completely. But then the best admonition would be, what are you doing to restore this particular life into the kingdom? You see that? So now Jesus looked down and now he began to write. Why is he writing? Because it had already been written in the law that whoever does such an act has to be punished and even stoned to death. But now Jesus had to write again the ground. Now on writing again, he's rewriting the story of this particular woman, that even if you are fallen, you can still stand again. The Bible says in chapter 14 of Job, verse 7, it says there is hope for a tree that has been cut down. It can sprout again. So now, where is the hope for this particular person? Already they know they are condemning themselves. They have the guilt conscience in them. You see that? So now, in that state of guilt conscience, how are you giving a shoulder to make this person find hope? Even if they had backslidden, they can slide back into the kingdom. Yeah. And the Bible says in Nehemiah chapter 4, from verse 6 there, it says, now in that particular state of unity, you have to build back the broken walls. Why? Because Ecclesiastes chapter number 10 from verse 8 says, if the wall is broken, the serpent, if the hedge is broken, the serpent will bite, it will strike. So now we have to find a way as a church, to help this particular person, to help this particular young lady, to help this particular young man to build back the broken hedge. And now the Bible says in that state, Nehemiah, back to Nehemiah verse 6, chapter 4 verse 6 says, we were now in that state of being in one mind, such that in that one mind we are able to build what has been broken. So there is still hope for that particular person. They can still stand again and have their dignity back won and have their life moving in success.